Hey, if you have a 401k, IRA, or using a similar tax-deferred strategy, maybe you're still making contributions every month, but like many others utilizing such methods, you never knew the hidden cost, which is that you'll be paying a lot in taxes. And this one factor has deprived most people of 30 to 40% of their hard-earned income. So stick around to learn exactly how a tax-free strategy with the proper setup can help you eliminate risk, fees, and taxes. Now, a lot of people are never exposed to the tax-free side of finance. And some don't even believe it exists, though it definitely does. And this strategy isn't new at all. You see, most people are planning to retire using outdated systems, and they don't even realize they're stuck in a strategy that was never designed to protect them. But the good news is there's a better way. And the people who know about it, they're not crossing their fingers, hoping and praying, for retirement to work out. They're confident. And their reason why they're confident is because they know something that you don't. Well, at least not yet. So let me ask you something. Are you actually certain your 401k will take care of you when you stop working? Or are you just hoping it will? Because here's what most people, don't realize until it's too late. You don't control your 401k. The market does. And the IRS does. And those fees baked into those accounts, Wall Street does too. So you put in more than 30 years of work, saving consistently, then one market crash at the wrong time can wipe out literally years of progress. Then you've got the taxes. You've saved all this money up, but you haven't paid taxes on it yet. And when you finally do take it out, guess who's first in line to get paid? Not you, not your family. That's right. Uncle Sam, the IRS gets its first dip. And so you see, we've been sold this idea that deferring taxes is the smart move. But in reality, deferring actually means delaying the pain. And in retirement, the pain is way worse. Now, if you layer in the fees, right, 1 to 3%, we've looked at hundreds of these, 1 to 3% annually, every year compounded over time, that can erase 10 years of retirement income. Just gone like that. And on top of all that, you can't even touch your money without penalties until you're 59 and a half. So there's all these restrictions, right? So it's locked up in a system that penalizes you for needing access to your own savings. So, you worked hard for that money, but you don't really own it. So you want to ask yourself, am I okay with spending more than 30 of my working years saving into a system that was never built to serve me, right? Well, there's a better option, one the wealthy have utilized for a very long time. And there's a retirement strategy that some people have never heard of. And not because it's new, but because it's been quietly used by the wealthy for decades. And it's known as the tax-free retirement account. And it's built on the IRS tax code that gives you 3 things that your 401k never could. Tax-free growth, tax-free access, and 0 market exposure. Now, under the code, you're not required to report income from this account as earnings. So any distributions or earnings from this account are not taxable. Therefore, they are tax-free. Now, this isn't some loophole. It's 100% compliant with the current tax code. And if you or your advisor have been solely focused on tax-deferred strategies, then you probably were never exposed to tax-free vehicles. Now, this is a long-standing financial strategy that the ultra-wealthy have used to protect and grow their money for generations. And we've personally helped hundreds of professionals set these up to fully feel confident about their future. And we specialize in helping people like you finally graduate from the tax-deferred treadmill and build a plan that works for you, not for Wall Street. And no, this isn't some souped up Roth or a glorified savings account. This is a properly structured, customized plan. And it's designed to legally remove taxes, fees, and market risk from your retirement picture. So in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly how this works and how it could, apply to your situation, even if you've never heard of it before. First, the biggest thing you must understand are the 3 threats to your retirement. Uncertainty of principal due to market volatility and risk is the first. Hidden fees, compounded, eating away at your hard-earned money. And finally, the IRS taking a ton in taxes upon distribution. Now, these 3 factors are literally burning the money you've saved up all these years, right? Now, what you need to remember is that everything evolves. For instance, transportation. Back then, you'd have to call upon, a taxi to catch a ride. Right? Nowadays, we can look for an Uber. Same goes with fashion. Dresses, shirts, shoes, and clothing from the early 20th century was clearly at a different stage, right? And different than that of today's age. This also goes for technology. Computers, phones, and other technological gadgets nowadays are definitely different than those that were first launched. And I'm sure you can remember those floppy disk slots and the bulky figure of the first computers compared to the modern day where, as you can see, they're as light as notebooks, right? And the same goes for the financial industry. Everything evolves. Now, you see, the old standard consists of tax-deferred types of accounts. And you already know what happens when the market drops. Right, your 401k drops with it, sometimes overnight. So these accounts have high risk. And most people don't realize their retirement accounts are getting drained by silent killers, right? Advisory fees, fund fees, management fees, admin fees, right? These are high fees, and it adds up 1 to 3% every year. And add that over 25 to 30 years, you can wipe out a full 10 years of retirement income. Right? And if your money is in a 401k, 403b, IRA, or TSP, then you haven't paid the taxes on it yet. That means every dollar you withdraw later is taxed as income. And there's no telling what the tax rates will be in 10 or 20 years. Most likely, they're not going down. All right, and here are some examples of mainstream media articles that question the old standard. So right here is the cover of Time magazine in 2002. They ask, will you ever be able to retire? And then a couple years later, in 2005, the Great Retirement Ripoff, right? So these strategies continue to get more and more outdated. And then in 2009, the cover of Time said why it's time to retire the 401k and what you should do instead, right? And maybe you've seen these articles and thought, they never applied to you, when in fact, they absolutely do. So what exactly is the new standard? Well, it's the tax-free retirement account. And a TFRA is built differently. As you can see, it has a guaranteed principal. So it gives you something called a floor. That means you never lose principal when the market crashes, ever. And you can still participate in upside growth, but when the market goes down, you don't go down with it. So your money's protected, always. And then there's also no fees. We eliminate those fees that eat away at your growth. So more money stays with you where it belongs, right? And finally, it's tax-free. You don't pay taxes on the money you withdraw. It grows tax-free and it comes out tax-free. And legally, according to the code, and again, without any loopholes. And what shocks most people is that with a properly structured TFRA, you're not penalized for accessing your money. And if you ever get sick, injured, or face a major health event, the plan can include living benefits so you're not draining from your savings to survive. And note that this blueprint only works for people who want to protect their principal, not those who are willing to risk all their funds to market volatility. So if that is you, then I urge you to look elsewhere because safeguarding means you never lose a penny. Now, I know it sounds maybe too good to be true, and most people think so as well when they first hear about the strategy because, if you've spent your whole life hearing max out your 401k and defer, then hearing about tax-free growth, zero market loss, and no penalties may sound like a complete fantasy. But here's the truth. This strategy has been around for decades. And it's the same one used by Fortune 500 executives, NFL coaches like Jim Harbaugh, and thousands of families who just didn't want to lose any more of their hard-earned money. And the only reason you haven't heard of it is because you've been getting advice from generalists. Right? These are HR reps, money managers, and advisors who don't specialize in tax-free planning, which is what we specialize in. And this is the kind of financial strategy taught in private rooms, not public classrooms, not because it's a secret, but because Wall Street doesn't benefit when you stop losing money. So let me be clear. You don't need to gamble with your future. You don't need to stay in the hope and pray system, and you definitely don't need to be wealthy to use the same vehicles the wealthy use. But the question is, how could this actually work for me, right? You're probably wondering that. Well, frankly, not everyone qualifies for this type of account. So if you want to learn more about the details and benefits and how to set these up for yourself, how this applies to you specifically, and how to once and for all graduate from the tax-deferred side to the tax-free side, then the next step for you is to click the button below so we can give you some more information and to see if you're qualified for this account right now. since not only can you receive tax-free retirement income, but the interest that you earn is tax-free as well. So if you want to keep 30 to 40% more money in your pocket versus giving it away to taxes, then I highly encourage you to stop procrastinating, click the button below, and let's see if you're a good fit and find out if you qualify for the TFRA.